We have a bookstore off to the right. Please feel free afterwards to browse. There are CDs for meditation and also CDs for just meditation music. There's lots of books, and if you want to ask me or Kanisha or Shvetank or any of our senior yogis here, we can give you some direction on what would be good. There are a couple of books on meditation for children in the back as well. So Shvetank is going to be talking to us about death and dying and moving forward from the point of view of a physician and a senior yogi. I think I can call you a senior yogi after 20 years of practice. It's interesting. We just came back from Peace Village up in Haines Falls, New York. It's the Brahma Kumari's meditation retreat center. And this time I worked with children. So I got to see how children, particularly children from Indian families, begin the possibilities of learning to become a yogi from the very earliest stages. It was very inspiring. And it was very interesting to watch them meditate because they meditate every half hour. So they are quite good at it, far better than me, and their attention span is quite long. So if I think about all the promise of these peaceful young people who are very aware of all the things that we talk about in meditation, they do apply these regularly in their lives. If I think about the promise of those children when they're my age, when they're looking at maybe the last 10 years, last 15 years of life, how will they be? And I'm quite sure a little bit, I've been with the Brahma Kumaris now for 2 years, and it's made a very big difference in how I view death. I view death now as simply another transition, and life has many of them, right? So Shvetank is going to be walking us through those ideas in a very positive way. So if you came a little frightened about the subject, I think you'll feel good about it afterwards. So, thank you for coming, Shvetank.
Just have to open that. Right. I'm so glad that technology today is helping us. Huh? You're not struggling with it. But Om Shanti, thank you for coming. We look forward to a very interesting session. This is a little morbid topic, if you will, for some people, but I hope that by the end of this session, we would no longer think it to be morbid. Anyways, you have heard the word Om Shanti a couple of times, and for those of you who are new, Om Shanti just simply means I am peace. I'm not. Come. Yeah, you can move this cell phone away and come.
Or you can come this side.
Okay. So, So when we say so when we introduce ourselves as our names and families and professions and our relationships and so on and so forth, But truly, all those are very limited introductions of the self. And what really is important to understand is that we are souls, we are spiritual beings, we are life forces, and that life force is inherently peaceful. So I am peace is merely a way to remind ourselves again and again of who we truly are. So, anyways, the reason why I have been taking up this topic quite intensely and quite frequently is because I feel that as life is moving forward for many people, whether it's west or east or wherever, the fear of death for most people is real. It's big. And it was very big for me too once upon a time. I remember as a child too. Excuse me. As a child, I was very attached to my parents, and many times when parents would leave me alone in the home, in US you can't do that, right? And when kids are small, but they would leave me alone at home, and they would go out for a few hours to shop or whatever. And I always had a feeling that will they ever come back, and so on and so forth. And then when we went to medical school, in India, working in a government medical school, where resources are extremely scarce, where blood, medicine, procedures, things like that, everything, you have to triage all of this quite a bit. So many times we would have patients just because of lack of money, lack of resources would die in front of us, when these would be, many of these deaths would be very easily preventable, but we would see again this technology not helping us. All right, but so we would see death very frequently. And so, is this better? No. Yeah, that's better. I don't know why I can't hear myself. Are you able to hear me? Seriously? Is this better? Or this is better?
Oh, it was.
This one. So this mic needs to be increased, the volume of this mic. Because if this goes in and out, then I'll use this one. So I would see these patients die, and it's interesting that I long back had sent a video of what is the title of that video was Samadhi. Has everyone heard that word Samadhi? People from India will definitely know that, but Samadhi is a way by which these ancient mystics would actually invoke their own death. So after they have done what they were supposed to do, in their body, if you will, they would say, I have come here to do this task, I have taken care of all of that, now it's time for me to move on. And so they would announce that one day prior. Next day they will wake up, they will take a shower, bath in the river or whatever. They would do their prayers, do their meditation, they would sit, and next moment they're gone. So there was no pain, no fear, no crying, no screaming, no nothing. In fact, does everybody know about the very famous British author Robin Cook? Uh-huh. One who writes, he's a physician actually, and he writes all these medical fiction books, and I can't remember the title, and he's the same guy who wrote the book Coma, which became a very famous movie, right? Coma, everybody knows? All right. So this, I can't remember the title, it was a fairly recent book, maybe 10, 12 years back I read it. And in that, he had described this one person, this character, who is able to go into a time capsule sort of thing, a time machine, and travels to the future, and he goes to a place where it seems everybody is kind of dressed in white, interestingly. And everybody is so peaceful, so calm, so harmonious in their relationships with each other. And then he sees that there is kind of people are organizing a ceremony. It seems they're preparing for a ceremony. So he asks them how and what is happening. And there is this very elderly couple who don't look elderly at all. They're looking very young, they're looking mature but young. And he tries to find out what is their age, and they're like 125 years old or something like that. And it's like, what is happening? And so they're going to move on. So that's a ceremony that's going to happen. And nobody's crying, everybody's celebrating, there's dancing, there's singing, and allowing them to take their onward journey, bidding farewell to them. But what has happened, though we know of these things a little bit, snippets here and there, though we read about these ancient yogis and mystics, but why are we not able to apply this to our lives? Why do we still feel so tense in and around death and the various manifestations thereof? Why? What has gone wrong in modern life, modern society? Why do we fear death so much? Nowadays, to some extent, for hospice patients, what is hospice? Everybody understands hospice. People who are close to the end of their life, if you will, there are now sessions that they do where they show them or they talk about how to prepare for your own death. My question is, do we have to wait till hospice situation happens to us before we prepare for our own death? Or can we do it now? In a way, can we predict how long we live? Anyone here? It can happen anytime. See, one way of that would be like an accident, boom. One way could be a heart attack and happening at home. You go to bed, you don't wake up the next day morning. One way could be some chronic illness like cancer or something, and you slowly kind of wither away, die. So there are different types, and if you see in the first two, there isn't really time to prepare. But in the other one, many times people do have time to prepare. So what do you think, if I ask you, which type of death would you want for yourself? Which one are you looking forward to, if out of these?
Time to prepare.
Oh, amazing. That's the first person. Maybe we have listened to my session in the past. No? The first person who has said that. Because normally people would say, I want to go now, and like, no, not need to know anything about it. I go to bed and then wake up. Don't wake up. But this is amazing, and that's the truth of the matter. So think of it in a way, we prepare for everything, right? You go to work, you prepare for work. You go to college, you prepare for college. You know these players who play football or basketball, tennis, they prepare for that too. David is an accomplished pianist. You prepare for that. Every now and then we hear that you are practicing, right, for the next session and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of preparation. Is there anyone here who says that who will not die? No. We all have to die, so we have to prepare for it, right? Why do we allow it? Why do we push it away, if you will? Why do we not want to bring it in front of us and, what do they say, take the bull by its horns, right? Try to understand it a little better. In a way, now what I want to truly go through is, death is, in a way, the most important or the ultimate truth, ultimate reality. We all will die, whoever it is. But in a way, it's the ultimate falsehood, ultimate lie. None of us can ever die. Why is that? We'll get to that as well. We'll also get to what we have learned from people who have had near-death experiences. Many times people think that the process of dying is going to be horrible, but that's not really it. So if you go in this fear of death, that's how I was. All the time thinking of what's going to happen. Have you heard of the ancient Greek story of the sword of Damocles? Sword of Damocles. Maybe I'm not pronouncing the name right. So the way it was that this person I can't remember the whole story, because at one time I got very interested in Greek mythology and I read about all of these. So anyway, so this was one god who would go to bed every night, and the way he had set up is that he had a sword, a very sharp sword, a big heavy sword, dangling just above him, and that was tied to the ceiling only by his own one single hair. So anytime it can break. And so that's how life is, really. We don't know what is the future. Now I have tried to break down the types of fear we have around death. And in general, you can add to these if you want, but this is what I have found in my research, is that one type of fear is the fear of what lies after death. Which we call this afterlife or after death. What will happen? Where will I go? Will I rot in hell? Will I be boiling in a big pot of oil? And will there be there's this Satan who's going to come with these horns and fire out of his mouth and all that? Is that going to be happening? What is going to happen? Second is fear of the actual process of death. How does that work? Fear of leaving the loved ones behind. What will happen to them? Who will take care of them? If somebody is very dependent on us, and they're dependent on us for their food and for their livelihood, who will take care of them? The fourth is fear of what will happen to me when I am dependent on someone else and that someone else dies. This is how I have seen it so far. If you have any other type of fear that you want to share or you've thought of, please do so. I look forward to, and then I'll put a fifth one here then. Pretty much one of these and a combination thereof, right? Maybe the first one more for somebody, maybe the second one more for the other, right? But I'm going to try to eliminate all of these fears one by one. Now, if you go back into the ancient past, there is this beautiful painting, biblical painting. I think it is right now, I can't remember where. I think I have it written somewhere where exactly this picture is. The name of the picture is the Dance of Death, or Dance Macabre, right? Is that how you? Macabre, or macabre, something like that, I guess. And so it pretty much means the dance of death. And I think macabre was a city where there was a massacre, and that became like a synonymous almost as death, massacre. So if you see in this picture, there's a skeleton, and then there is a person's skeleton, there's a person's skeleton, another person. And in this picture, it's actually a pretty long picture. It's not possible to take one whole of it. And in that, you will see that there'll be a rich person, a pauper, a disabled person, a king's man, something, all people from all walks of life. And what that means is that whether you're rich, you're poor, you're wise, you're stupid, you whatever you are, you will die. All right. Now, if you go into Indian mythology, there is this very beautiful poem by a very famous poet of that time. And the way it says is, आए हैं तो जाएंगे राजा रंग फकीर एक सिंहासन चढ़ी चले एक बंधे जंजीर. The Indians here will understand this, but I'm going to kind of translate it for you. What it means is that everyone who has come onto this earth will die, whether, again, the same thing, whether it is, so Raja Rang Fakir. Raja means king, Rang means a pauper, and Fakir means an enlightened soul. Everyone has to die. One will go in a chariot, with full respect, and the other will be tied with chains and dragged. It depends on us whether we go with all the respect that we deserve or we go dragged in chains. What it means is that it depends on how you have prepared for death. If you haven't prepared for it, if you're still stuck in the mundane of life, then it will feel as if you're being pulled out of life, tied by chains and dragged across. But if you're truly prepared, then it will be a joyride, a pleasure. All right. And this is where another interesting thing that in Latin texts, which are like 1400 texts, and they talk about it. This is all about in Christianity, in this thing, but they talk about what is called as ars moriendi. It's the art of dying. So just like painting, just like cooking, just like singing, just like dancing, is death something that we can master? Master the art of dying. Ars moriendi. And I love this picture. This is what I put on the flyer. This person is leaving peacefully. The person who's standing peacefully sending the person off. So the way to understand this is the first important concept across the board. The first session, if you will, of the Raja Yoga course that Brahma Kumaris teaches is, who are you? That you are a soul. Understanding this soul and body paradigm. If I think of myself as a body, this body will perish. Body has come from earth and will go back to earth. If you look at the word human being, the word humus is also, it comes from an Latin word which means soil. And if you break down your body, eventually it's carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, sulfur, phosphorus, and so on and so forth. It comes from the earth, goes back to earth. It has to. But who are you? If you say my body, you can't be your body. Right? When you say my car, you're not your car. My house, you're not your house. You are not what you possess. You're not what you own. You own your body. You possess your body. It belongs to you. How can you be what belongs to you? Even your name is not you. Isn't it? That's something that belongs to you. Your eyes, even your mind is not you. Your understanding is not you. Your dreams are not you. Your aspirations are not you. Your hopes are not you. You are merely a soul. The life force, the energy that animates this body. The soul leaves the body at the time of death. The soul enters the body at the time of birth, or actually before it. When the fetus becomes viable, right? That's when the mother feels a kick in the womb. You know, that's when the soul enters. So the soul moves from one body to the other, to the other. And just like the driver in a car analogy, a horse in a carriage analogy, the soul is merely a driver of this body. And this body is merely a vehicle for the soul. Both are important. But the soul can leave one body, go to the other, just like a driver can leave one car and go to the other. Right? We take cars on lease. Every 3 years we return it, get a new one. We buy them, maybe we'll run them for 7-8 years, but we change them. So when we change the car, similarly we change the body. That car came with certain parts and certain booklets and certain accessories. This car also comes with certain accessories. And those accessories are possessions of house and car and cell phones and so on and so forth, and with relationships. Mother, father, brother, sister, wife, children, husband, so on and so forth. So when this car, you return it, all these get returned with it. What's the big deal? You get a new car. So the soul never dies. The soul is energy. The ancient, if you look into Gita, the ancient Hindu text says that soul cannot be cut by the sharpest sword, cannot be burnt by the most intense fire, cannot be wetted by water, cannot be done this and this. It talks all about that. The soul is indestructible, imperishable. And who are you? You're truly the soul. You're truly the being that lives in this humus or human or the body. This is the fundamental thing that immediately, hopefully, eliminates all fear. Body is what needs things. The soul needs nothing. The soul is complete, full, whole anyways. The soul is peaceful, the soul is kind, the soul is compassionate, the soul is healthy, the soul is happy, the soul is everything, all the good things. It's only when it comes in the body that when it interacts with others, that's when it begins to forget, and that's what all of us has gone through, is we have forgotten our true identity and we are stuck in this illusion of what we think as reality, the matrix. Okay. Alright, so now the other important element that we need to understand to be able to master this art of dying is the understanding the enigma of time. Time is interesting, actually, but may I ask you, you want to say something? No. Does time even exist? Is there anything like time? Time is actually, if you truly understand, I'm going to take this really deep and maybe I'll leave it there instead of going too much into it. But time is merely a construct of our minds. You know, when they did this in quantum physics, when they try to break time into smaller pieces, smaller parts, when you go really, really into the smallest particles, into the quantum world, there is this smallest, shortest time period that can ever be measured, and they call it as the Planck time. Max Planck, because of Max Planck. That, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is 10 to the power minus 39 seconds. 1 second, but so you do 0 point and then write 39 zeros and then 1. That's small. And what they found that at that short interval, actually time ceased to exist. There was no movement. There was no time. So how can nothing add up to something? How would 39 nothings add up to something, truly? If I give you 0 oranges 100 times, how can it be 100 oranges? You'll still be left with 0 oranges, right? If you have 0 time times 39, it'll still be 0. So it's merely a construct of the mind. Anyways, I won't go too much into that. I'll leave it at that. But if you look at the Western philosophy, which is not really a philosophy, today's philosophy, but today's thought processes is that we think time to be very linear. We think it to start from our birth and at death, and in this period we have to do everything. We constantly feel that the past goes away into oblivion, never to come back again, and future is what we are holding on to, that something nice will happen. It doesn't happen, we get upset. The future becomes past, never to see again, and so we constantly in this chase, if you will, never-ending chase for time. But the ancient, the original understanding is that time is actually cyclical. And I can prove it to you. Actually, everything in life is cyclical. Everything. From day-night cycle, to season cycle, to the way the planets revolve, to the way the Halley's Comet comes and goes, to everything, to even your body. You look at your circadian rhythm is what they say. So there is, and for all the enzymes, all the hormones, the activity level, the way your brain works, everything, there is an upstroke or upslope, there's a peak, there's a downslope, there's a nadir, and then again an upslope. So if you look at life now from a cyclical point of view, you start, say, from birth for a moment, then you go to death, but it doesn't end at death. It comes back to a new birth. And truly speaking, if you understand this, can you say, look at an analog clock. You know, one of the biggest or the worst things that I feel modern society has had to see is changing from analog clocks to the digital clocks. Because digital clock has clearly destroyed our ability to see how cyclical time is and how continuous it is. It gives you this feeling of fragmentation of time. But, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And something ticking, like a ticking bomb, boom. But you see, now you look at the clock, an analog clock. Keep that in front of you. Say this one. You see, where is 12? The 12 is up there, 6 is here, 3 is here, 9 is here. Can you say truly that the clock starts at 12? Where is the beginning of it? Where is the end of it? Can you really say that 3 o'clock comes after 12 o'clock? Or does it come before 12 o'clock? No? Agreed? You can't say?
Which one?
Which one? Yeah, which one? Is the one that just passed or the one that's going to come? So if you look at, say, adulthood, in this childhood to death to whatever, which comes first? Does birth come before adulthood? Does old age come after adulthood? or before adulthood. Isn't that something interesting? A new paradigm. I'm inviting you to a different way of thinking. But if you understand this versus this, in this, if you have not achieved all that you wanted to achieve, it's gone. But now with this viewpoint, if you can't achieve in one, you can achieve in the other. Just like in 1 hour, if you couldn't achieve something, you can achieve it in the other hour. So 12 to 6 to 12. If you look at it from the seconds point of view, 1 minute, you could do it in the next minute. Do it from the minutes point of view, you can do it in the next hour. From the day point of view, you can do it in the next 12 hours. What's the big deal? You look for bigger from a year point of view, what's the big deal? You can do it next year. Most of the times we do that, right? We'll do it next year. When will you be healthy? Eat healthy, go for walks? Next year, right? When will I kind of make up, in that relationship that I messed up and say sorry? Next year. We do that anyways, right? So, if you truly understand this, if you couldn't do in one lifetime, can't you do it in the next lifetime? What's the big deal? That's why the ancient mystics never worried about things. They never worried about time. Now, another very important understanding, even if you look at it from linear point of view, we have always thought of time as constant and absolute. But we have understood now from the quantum physics viewpoint, from the theory of relativity point of view, that time is relative. You can actually expand and contract time by the way you perceive it. The observer observed effect in quantum physics. If you look at time 1 hour and perceive it as 1 day, it will really appear 1 day for you, and you'll have all the time that you want. On the other hand, if you think of time as 1 hour as 10 minutes, it will behave as 10 minutes for you. And that's what happens to all of us. We think too much. This is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, I have to do. We're trying to cram up so much in that hour. And we think that 1 hour is not enough. And that 1 hour truly becomes not enough for us. The ancient mystics could expand time. Not externally, but in their consciousness. So time expanded for them. As simple as that. So if you want to achieve a lot, even if I say tomorrow is going to be the last day, from today to tomorrow you can expand time and do so much. And in our mindset, even if we know that somebody comes and tells you by some crystal ball, you have 20 more years to live. In 20 years that seems so short. What done? I have to buy so many more cars, so many more houses, so many more vacations, so many more this, so many more that. It's never enough. No? You see, I have shared this before, but then there was, in Philadelphia, there's a very famous researcher he called these Buddhist monks and who were long-term meditators and did functional MRI scans on them and positron emission tomography scans of the brain. And so what it does is it shows the activity of the brain and before meditation and after meditation. So these kind of scans were done. And there are certain areas of the brain that lit up after meditation and certain areas dimmed down. And the area of this area, which is the area that is involved with temporospatial orientation, what that means is time and space orientation, dimmed down. And this area which is about higher functioning and to be able to achieve more and to be able to really respond to everything and everyone around us in a more meaningful way lit up for them. So after meditation, they were able to, in a way, transcend time and space constraints. So isn't that amazing? If you can do that too, oh, it's okay. I have enough time. And I've seen that honestly, that if I am in a quiet state, if I am in a relaxed state, meditative state, one day seems so long. I can do so much. We would find that Kanisha and me doing courses. So we start off our day with 4 o'clock in the morning meditation. We are awake even before that. And we go out for a walk after that. Then we have our senior meditation sessions from 6 to 7:30. Sometimes it spills over to 7:40, 45. Then we have, go out for a walk again, breakfast, and then run for another session from 8:30 to 10. And then there's another session, and then we have to fix so many things. And then evening session, Saturday here, 5 to 7, then more. And the whole day you're able to achieve so much. And if your state is not really good, if you have been worried and thinking and not really in that zone, then you find, oh darn, I have to do this too, I have to do that too. You see? All right. Now let's look at something else, another view, another thing very important. Our body is truly a work of art. Hmm? Some of us egoistically think we are works of art. That's a different thing. but truly, if you look at it, and I can share so many things about our human body. First of all, I don't know whether you know or not that the lungs can expand so much. They don't because of the chest wall. But if you take our lungs and lay it out flat as if you have taken a big massive iron and lay it out, it can cover a whole football field. Each one's. If you take our capillaries, our blood vessels where blood flows, and you lay them end to end, they'll go round the earth several times. The amount of electricity that we have can actually light a bulb right now for several seconds, a full 60-watt bulb. So anyway, so it's interesting to know that we have 37 trillion cells. 1,000,000 make million, 1,000 million make billion, 1,000 billion make trillion. So million would be trillion, and 37 of those would be in your body. Do you know that every minute 300 million cells in your body die and they're replaced? If you multiply 300 to 60, that will be 1 hour. By 24, that's 1 day. 432 billion cells out of your body die every day. That is 2.6% of your body dies every day. That means our entire body gets replaced about 40 days. Every 40 days. So the truth of the matter, you die every 40 days anyways. So why are you scared of?
But we're reborn in the same shape, same thing.
No, the body changes too,
It does.
doesn't it?
Not the teeth.
Especially the teeth, right?
No, teeth don't change.
Well, mine changed a lot. That's why I had to go to the dentist so
You have to
often.
take care of those. They're not coming back.
Yeah, so if you don't take care of them, they don't come back anyways, right? So I'm finding, right, everybody feels that every day you're getting older, right? The body is not the same. You could walk and run and climb and jump and all that, and now you can't. But you look at it from birth to now, our body becomes almost unrecognizable, at least they say 5 times through our lifetimes. For example, from a birth point of view to say the school age child, there's just no comparison. To an adolescent, it's total transformation. Of course, some features will be the same, but total transformation. To a mature person, to old age, so many times, the body becomes so different. It's almost like you have replaced, you've come from a different body to a new body. You just take snapshot of you as a baby and you as a toddler. How much of difference? A baby weighs 3.5 kilograms, maybe, right? Up and down a little bit. A toddler weighs what, 20, no, maybe 20 kilograms, 18 kilograms. 3 times? Or 5 times even? No? And then how much do you weigh now? Let me not ask that. So, is it the same body? It's like really you have moved into a new body. So what I'm trying to get at is that we go through massive transformation anyways, almost to the extent of death in a way, every single day. When you go to sleep, it's truly the soul for a moment gets disconnected or dissociated from the body. If you are in true deep sleep, you really don't know what is happening around you. Even it's almost, you think of it, everything is still happening, right? The stars move their positions, cars are being driven on the road, the trains go, the planes fly, everything is happening. Nature moves on, rivers still flow while you're sleeping. It's not like the world has come to an end. The soul dissociates itself from the body, and for the soul, then the world doesn't exist. In the morning when you wake up, or if somebody shakes you awake in the middle of the night, again you then get connected to the world. So that's exactly how death is. They say when you die, the world dies for you. The soul leaves the body, totally gets dissociated. So every night is like a practice towards death. Don't you think so? Let's move forward. Very nicely said by someone. This is a Greek philosopher, Heraclitus. Somebody can help me pronounce that if I am not saying it right. So in 544 BC said, "You cannot, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." Every second, I've said this before when I have done these science of meditation sessions, we are bombarded by something like a few billion bits of information every second. This tremendous amount of information overload. If you compare ourselves, this today's state, to say 50 years back, it was a fraction. The information overload is just tremendous. It has just burst at this moment. But now you think of it, so many different pieces of information coming to you. Every second, you're a new person. Are you the same person that you were 1 second back? Are you? The world, just like you, is experiencing tremendous transformation. Tremendous, every second. So the world renews itself every second. You renew yourself every second. Isn't that interesting? Let this sink in. You are a new person every second anyways. Every second, think of it from this point of view. You died in the previous second. You got reborn in this second. As this second is going back into past, you're dead again, reborn to a new. And you're a new person here. Maybe you're named the same person, the same name again. And Naina will be called Naina every second. That's fine, it happens. Sometimes, like when people have kids, it'll be the same name 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's okay, you may have the same name, but you are a different person. Truly understand that. So, are you scared of living every second? No. Are you scared of that death? No. So why are we scared of that death? You're dying every day. You're dying every minute. You're dying every second anyways. Alright, so now here to another thing very important to understand. The fear of death comes from this perspective too, and I take this more for people who have already been into meditation. I take it very deep, but I'll keep it superficial, and maybe in subsequent sessions when you start doing the course, I'll take it deeper. But very important to understand that everything that we do, our actions, have a domino effect, as a ripple effect. We are not independent. I like to see the whole thing as like a jello, right? You touch one corner of the jello, the whole jello moves. And you look at this whole matrix of this world as a big jello. You move here, something moves in China right now. You are so interconnected. You're not independent, and nothing is independent. So if I do something negative, what is going to come back to me? Because the jello goes like this and then comes back, right? That's why you touch it like this, it comes back. So if I push negative energy into this matrix, what am I going to get back? Negative. If I put in positive, what am I going to get back? Positive. So in other words, if I have lived my life meaningfully, my death will be very comfortable. And very simple, very simple. If we don't want to understand from that deep spiritual perspective, even from medical point of view, if you smoke and drink and do drugs and do whatever, how is the death? Not the best, right? We get to benefit a lot as physicians from you all, if you do that. Thank you for that. But it doesn't help you all, right? When you don't take care of your body. But you think of, many times we have patients who come for surgeries and they're very active, very healthy. They have done everything good, and so right away we find that they recover very quickly from their surgeries. They recover very quickly from even the bigger ones, and even during surgery they do very well, and post surgery they do very well. If you have lived life well, then whatever comes your way, you're able to handle it. Similarly, if you have lived your life spiritually well, you've been a good human being, how's death going to be? And how much, and I say this again and again, because I say it for myself, to remind myself, we have become truly very selfish human beings. And I've said that in the past, and I just want you all to feel for a moment, how much in the past 1 week have you thought about others? How much? Whether it is those refugee children, or whether it is, those wars, and whether, women being tortured, or whether, people in their own homes crying because of want of food, for food or money or pain or illness or whatever. How much? As long as I have my ice cream. Who ate my chocolate cake? That's all. You wake up in the morning and you don't find your chocolate cake in the fridge. What happens? That's the end of everything, right? Truth, that's the truth of the matter, truly. What am I doing? The amount of disrespect we have for each other. The amount of disrespect we have for nature itself. We leave our cars on. I know in the Western world, people have seen luxuries and all that, and it's very easy for people to forget that 45 minutes or 1 hour that you're shopping in Walmart, you leave your car on because the AC will be on and you'll have a nice feeling when you come back. That's understandable. But we from India, how much of heat have we seen? 112, 118. And we had no ACs. No ACs. And here I saw on Friday when I went to the Indian store, one Indian had his big Honda Odyssey, AC on, car on. I went in, before that the car was still on. I did all my shopping, came out, the car was still on, and that person was nicely talking. Now you tell me, I mean, I'm not trying to judge you, but if you don't respect nature, how much time really, honestly, does it take for the car to cool down? 30 seconds? And those 30 seconds feel like 2 hours, right? Right? The time, the enigma of time. Oh, I'm going to die of this heat.
But if your elderly mom is in the car, you better.
Oh, of course, yeah, no, yes, of course. There are reasons for that. If you have a dog in there and things like that, or you can bring the person inside the house, inside the car. Like my mom, I would take her inside the shop. I never let the car switch stay on. And so, a little bit of respect. And if we don't have respect for things around us, and and money and everything, then how? That's the law of karma. If I disrespect X, that X thing is going to come back and hurt me. Or at least will not respect me, will not serve me. We have heard so many times that, there are people who kick their car all the time. And then when they are really needing to go for an important appointment, an interview, that's when the car breaks down. No? You've heard it all the time. The universe soaks our energy and delivers it to our plate. Somebody had said this so beautifully, that karma is like a restaurant where there's no menu. You are served what you deserve. And then we complain though, but the truth of the matter is that we are the ones who created that energy. So truly, if you understand, the art of dying comes from art of living. The more meaningfully I live my life, more purposefully I live my life, more thoughtfully I live my life, more beautiful my death is going to be. That's the preparation that we need to have. Move from me and mine. What is the big deal? Sometimes it's like, me, this. And for a moment you step back. You look at children. That small children, when we went to Peace Village, there was one of these small children. I don't know, he got $20 bill from his mom. Somehow took it out of her mom's purse. And he was going around giving to others. Take it. How many of us will give $20 like this, right? I mean, like the generosity of children, they don't understand. It doesn't matter to them. They will share their ice cream, they'll share their chocolates, they'll share, even if they're sucking on a lollipop, they'll take it out, okay, you take it. It doesn't matter to them. And for us, my cake. This is my cake. And now you tell me, truthfully, honestly, put your hand on your heart if you want to, how much do we really think? So, and if you don't, I inspire you from now onwards to live a life, at least little at a time, for others. And see how beautiful it feels. There are times when in the past 20 years of my practice of meditation, 19 years, and conscious effort of living life in this way, where so many times I would be like so tired, just exhausted, but somebody calls and says, oh, I would love to, I'm really in stress and I would like to come for meditation, or come to just sit in this meditation room, or I want to learn a little bit about meditation. What do you say at that time? I need my sleep. Oh, I'm really stressed. I might even jump out of, all right, jump out. If you survive, then you can call me tomorrow. Is that what you should say? I need my sleep. Oh, I need my Bahamas vacation. Call me after I come back. If you survive by then, that's fine. Call me after I've come back from my lovely vacation. Is that what it is? No. You have to step out of your me and mine, of your limited consciousness, and expand it, allow it to expand. Think of it, it's like for now, in fact, actually now I'm seeing in families too, It's even in your closest relationship, your mother, father, sister, brother, husband, wife, children, it's still a lot of me and my space. That person was trying to encroach onto my space. I hear that so often. For a little bit, try to expand this. Feel as if at least your immediate family is part of this space of yours. Then take it further. Your extended family is also part of this space. Take it further. Your entire neighborhood is in that space. Your space. Expand it even further. The entire city, the entire state, the entire country, the entire continent, the entire world. See how beautifully it's expanding? Your consciousness and the entire universe. Everything belongs to you. So beautiful, that thought. Is it really now about you? You. It's more about the entire universe now. This is how the ancient mystics lived their life. And this is why they lived happily and they died happily. They welcomed death. Come, come, come. The next is trust in the processes or the forces of the universe. We always feel that this was one fear. One fear was what will happen to my family members if I die, or what will happen to me if they die. So much in this universe is happening without your control anyways. I've said this many times. Do you control the way the earth revolves around the sun, or the earth rotates on its axis, or how the seasons happen, how the day and night happens, how the rivers flow, how the mountains emerge, how the snow emerges, and how it melts, and how the oceans get evaporated into clouds, and how hurricanes happen, and how tornadoes happen, and how ships go from one continent to the other, how planes fly from one. How much of it do you control? How much of your own life you have? Huh?
Yeah, your own life, what you control.
What do you control? How much of your family members can you truly control? I mean, in fact, say husband and wife, you feel you're like this, which is rare. Alright, but let's see, say for a moment you're like this. You met your wife, say, at the age of 20, 25, 30, 40, whatever. Finish it? Yeah, okay, that's fine. So, yeah, for a moment it stopped working. Can you leave that door open? Maybe sometimes that sound going there. So think of it. So yeah, that helps. So before that, they did survive, right? Maybe they survived better before they met you. Maybe they thrived better before they met you. Maybe you are the one who is squeezing the life out of them. Who knows? But you think of it, they were okay. So why do you think that they won't be okay when you are not around? Is that making sense? The forces of the universe that have taken care of them so far. Even right now, you're sitting here, can you truly control, say, your spouse sitting at home? Something may happen or whatever. Are you helping them breathe right now? Are you helping them digest food? No. It's happening anyways. These forces of the universe are taking care of them. So why would they not take care of them when you're not there? The other element also in this is the element of dependency. What spirituality teaches us and what these ancient mystics always lived, a life of non-dependency. and detachment. Detachment comes from non-dependency. When you depend on others, you kind of give away your freedom to others. They begin to control you. So if you live a life with understanding that you are full, you're complete, you're whole, you're a child of God, you have a wonderful capacity, unlimited potential, you can do anything and everything you want, and you move forward guided by God Himself, by His energy, by the forces of the universe. You don't need anything or anyone to make you full and complete. Why do we get into relationships? It's because there is some emptiness within us that we hope that that relationship will fill. And it never does. We go from one to the other to the other. But if you think of it from this point of view, that you're full, you're complete, you're whole, you have everything that you need for your own life, for your own progress, for you to reach your full potential. You don't need anything, and you understand the other person also has everything that he needs or she needs. So where is the dependency? That leads to the ability to detach. What detachment? We have done the whole series on detachment. The spiritual enlightenment series, and the whole concept was detachment. One of the biggest important ways of, and truly speaking, you cannot become spiritual. You can't even call yourself spiritual unless you understand detachment. All these ancient mystics, the Buddhist monks or whoever you can think of, they all practice detachment. In fact, we have now understood that when we are attached to someone, we not only not allow them to grow, we don't allow ourselves to grow. No one can grow. We are stuck as if, It's like, I like one very senior yogi had given a beautiful example of attachment is like an ant and goes and tries to lick at honey and then gets stuck. Honey is so sweet and dies. The last sip is its last sip, truly. So attachment destroys us. The more and more we can remain detached, and we'll do more on detachment at some other point, but the more we can practice detachment in our lives, the more we can rise beyond all fears. And the fear, one thing, going back to that fear thing, fear is not natural. Fear is absolutely not natural. Fear is not the quality of the soul. Fear comes because of insecurity. Insecurity comes because of attachment. And if we can get rid of attachment, we won't feel insecure, and therefore there won't be any fear. Now, coming to near-death experiences. So I have explained one few of these things, that the fear of what will happen to me after somebody else dies, if what will happen to others when I die. So far clear? Now you have no fear of that? No? You still have a little bit? Maybe you'll process it a little more after today, and I'm sure it'll get better. But now there's a lot of research on near-death experiences, and what that means is people who were supposed to die, who had some kind of an event where it was almost close to death, and then they came back. So those who never came back, they would come back to tell the story, but those who came back had the opportunity to tell the story. And so I'll share some of these. One of these says, enveloped by light, people experience, so this in general, people experience total acceptance and unconditional love and have access to a deep knowledge and wisdom, indescribable clarity and insight. This is from a book by a neurosurgeon. No, this is not the one by neurosurgeon. This is by another famous researcher who has done a lot on these near-death experiences. His name is Dr. Pim van Lommel. And so in his book, Consciousness Beyond Life, The Science of Near-Death Experiences. Then somebody said one of these people who came back to relate their stories, their experiences, said, the pinnacle of everything there is, of energy, of love, especially of warmth, of beauty. Somebody else says, it seemed as if time and distance didn't exist. I was everywhere at once, and sometimes my attention was focused on something, and I was there too. So see, time, space, completely dissolves. On return, a single loving thought would let me be part of the whole again. No, 1 minute. Here, I asked if God was the light, and the answer was no, God is not the light, but the light is what happens when God breathes or something. Somebody said, I think death is a real nasty bad lie. And then if we go beyond, so I went through this dark black vacuum at super speed. You could compare it to a tunnel. I saw a bright light, and on my way there, I heard beautiful music, and I saw colors I'd never seen before. The light was of a kind that I'd never seen before, and that differs from any other kind, such as sunlight. It was white and extremely bright, and yet you could easily look at it. It's the pinnacle of everything there is, of energy, of love, especially of warmth, of beauty. I was immersed in a feeling of total love. There's a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, who had one of these experiences. He came back, wrote a book. I was encountering the reality of a world of consciousness that existed completely free of the limitations of my physical brain. My experience showed me that the depth of the body and the brain are not the end of consciousness. So consciousness, the soul, really doesn't die. It goes. But you see, I went through this dark tunnel, but then there's this light, and there's this feeling of warmth, of beauty, of love, of energy. Then there's this famous person, Anita Moorjani. I've shared this before, who has written this book, Dying to Be Me, Dying to Be Me, where she describes how she had huge tumors. She had some sort of lymphoma, and her entire body shut down, all the systems failed, and then she was on life support, and then the doctor said, she's dying, she's dead, we can't do anything about it. But then she had this wonderful experience, and I continued to sense myself expanding further and further outward, drawing away from my physical surroundings. It was as though I was no longer restricted by the confines of space and time, and continued to spread myself out to occupy a greater expanse of consciousness. I simultaneously experienced a sense of joy mixed with a generous sprinkling of jubilation and happiness. They never complain. None of these people complain of pain and misery and suffering. And then I was overwhelmed by the realization that God isn't a being, but a state of being. And I was in that state of being. So if you look at all of these stories and you see the commonalities of it, find that all of them had crystal clear consciousness. All of them had a realistic out-of-body experience. So they are not, if you're out of the body and you're experiencing something, you're really not the body, right? Hence proved. We are so stuck in this my body thing. A feeling of all of them shared a feeling of overwhelming love and peace during the dying process. Tremendous ecstasy, meeting spiritual beings. Now just by looking at this, now do you fear your death? What will happen during death? If you're going to have this overwhelming feeling of love and peace, tremendous ecstasy. Now, not only for yourself, now you think your loved one is going to die, say for a moment. He's going to go through all this too. Beautiful sense of warmth and love and compassion and acceptance. Why are we scared for death then? In a way, like if your son wants to go to Stanford, say no, don't go to Stanford. Stay with me, Augusta University.
But if our karmas are not good, then we will still experience that same love and peace.
Beautiful question. I'll get to that. I don't know whether I put it here. So anyways, I'll go to these commonalities, more commonalities. All of them experienced panoramic life review, they experienced God, they experienced unlimited knowledge, and they experienced a realm where all knowledge exists. All of them were shown the future, they experienced a bright light or being of light at the end of the tunnel, and after coming back, all of them had no fear of death. It doesn't matter. There was a shift of the focus from here and now, shift of focus into here and now rather than preoccupation with death. There was this feeling that we're not vulnerable like we thought we were, and strong belief in continued existence. There was a significant shift towards spirituality. All of them shared that there was change in values, priorities towards love and caring, rather than cars and houses and boats and trucks and guns. In the South, it's like that, right? From egocentricity to other-centered consciousness, from tendency to love unconditionally and increase sympathy. See what beautiful things happen when you go through death. So, why are we afraid of death? Yes, that question. They had a subset of people who had this kind of near-death experience after suicide, for example, after drug addiction and overdose, and they all shared the same thing. Actually, it's so interesting, there is one very beautiful movie, a short movie, created by a person, a Middle Eastern person or Italian person, I guess. His name, the name of the movie is Admissions. It's not a free movie, so you'll have to log in and you have to buy it, I guess. It says Admissions, and in that it kind of shows that it's this space where after death people will go and then they will be told whether you'll go to hell or whether you'll go to heaven. Have you seen that movie? We have shown that.
We have shown it here.
Correct? And so there's this person, so a lot of people come in and out, and so there's one person, he's a very famous actor, one of the world's renowned actors, who is the guy who is kind of like the agent for God, who's sitting there and taking notes and all that. And so these people come in and so there's one murderer, one of those people who terrorists, who has actually just bombed a restaurant in Tel Aviv, and there are these, the people from Tel Aviv who are, one is Palestinian, the other is, what do they call the other one? Israelis, yeah. So those people are the ones, the couple who dies, so they all come together. So suddenly there's this, they're sitting and during conversation they realize that he is the one who's the mobber who killed them. And so then there is a lot of, and so while they're waiting for the doors to open and each one to be assigned to hell and heaven, and so first is the couple. So then somehow, in that conversation, this person who's the agent of God kind of says, what's the point in holding on to it, just acknowledge the other person and forgive that. And this man is like, I can't forgive. And so for a moment, it feels for the wife, as the man is the first one to go and stand there. All right? And so he feels, or it's the wife that goes. So wife actually forgives. She says, it's okay. Whatever happened, happened. And because that terrorist tells that how the Israelis killed his kids, and so now he was taking his revenge, and so on and so forth. Then she realizes it, she feels, a change of heart, she forgives him, and then she's the first to stand there at the place where whichever door opens, she goes. And so the heaven door opens and she goes. Then it's this man. And so the man is still like this, you know. So for a moment we would feel that the person would go into hell because he hasn't forgiven. But then at the end, he acknowledges, and so then the heaven door opens and he goes. Now it is this person. And he's like feeling that, of course, for me it has to be hell. Right? And he stands there, and the next moment the heaven door opens. And he looks back at this agent and says, heaven for me? And says, actually there's no hell. Hell is something that you guys have created in your mind. So beautiful. So we live in hell. We don't go to hell.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Think of it from that point of view. We are living in hell right now.
You come back to living heaven.
Yes. Yeah. Every
We
day.
should look forward to that then.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. The moment you understand this whole thing, why these ancient mystics never feared, why they welcomed, why they look forward to it. Because they understood it.
Could I add, a nun told a story where there was the agent who kept ushering and everybody was coming in. But they said, well, tiptoe past door 10. When you tiptoe past door 10. And so,
Yeah, a nun was telling a story about the agent ushering people in to beautiful heaven. But they were saying, but tiptoe past door 10. And then they kept saying all these different people, Muslims, just one welcome, tiptoe past door 10, if that's okay. And then they were going, well, what's in door 10? And they were going, well, that's the Catholics. They think they're the only ones here.
Excuse me, thank you. Very interesting. Now you got it, right? True to your heart, you got it. There's nothing to fear about death. See, the last one was decrease interest in status symbols and materialistic lifestyles. And I can tell you one thing now I have explained to you that afterlife is going to be great. Clearly, right? We have seen it now. Thousands and thousands of accounts of these near-death experiences. The afterlife is going to be great. And truly, the soul goes to another body. Also to understand one thing from the law of karma, the life that you have right now is also going to determine your future life. So if I am living a selfish life, what am I going to get in the future, next birth? Nothing very good. So that is even more important now, to live a selfless life, to live life for others. So, the thing is truly deep inside us, the soul, why the soul fears death, I can tell you, and this is something little advanced, but I'm sure you will get it, that subconsciously the soul knows that my future birth is not going to be the happiest one. Because I've not done the right things right now. Because I'm so into being. So, you see? And so the moment you start doing it, truly, and it's not just, these mystics, but if you look at even people like Mother Teresa, people who really serve others, like Florence Nightingale, or people who really rise above themselves, and their limited thinkings and expand their consciousness to serve others. All of them, subconsciously, they know that their future birth is going to be better than this. And so they don't fear it.
Can you touch a little bit on the process of dying?
Very good. All right. That's where I'm going to. The medical perspective. You asked the most wonderful questions. Thank you for that. Now this is perfect. So now you look at from the medical perspective. People think that death is going to be painful. But actually it's the culmination of all pain. That's where pain ends. Pain is before death. death is not painful. And I can tell you, jokes apart really, but I have seen way more deaths than all of you combined and several other 100,000 people. Maybe I've seen so many deaths in my 20 years of my practice of medicine. I've had patients die in my hands, a patient die in front of me, in the OR, in the ICU. We sometimes are the ones who pull the plug and so on and so forth, you know. So we are there. I can tell you for sure, my own observation, that people may have pain before the last part of death. You know, we poke them with so many big needles, this, you know. But just close to death, you will see their entire personality change. If they are awake, their faces will change. They'll be so much at peace. I still remember there was this one gentleman. Nobody knew he was going to die in the next few hours. So I was rounding in the ICU. I finished my rounding about 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the night. The patient died at 1 o'clock. And this patient had had a very chaotic kind of, you know, ICU stay after heart surgery. And that evening he was so peaceful. I went into his room, there was a different kind of an energy. And it is so interesting, as I walked into the room, he looked at me and in a very peaceful way. We weren't still feeding him because he wasn't able to swallow. He said, I want a mango. And that was so strange. You know, I almost have goosebumps right now, just remembering that whole thing. And there were residents with me and they came out and they were like, you know, this guy's crazy or something, he's thinking about mangoes. You know, but there was just total peace on his face. There was a lot of calmness. And he was actually doing better. And then he moved or something, and then there was a blood clot that went into his heart, and he died. We could not resuscitate him back. So you see how there was so much of peace in that little bit of time before that. In fact, I can tell you from my own experience also, from my family members. My dad, for example, I have shared many times, he wasn't really a very spiritual person. He was a very philosophical person, but not really spiritual. He really wasn't into God and religion and things like that of any sort. But he had a cancer, and then he, you know, over years withered away. But as he was getting closer and closer, he became more and more spiritual. He began to, you know, connect with God and all that, a little bit at least. But during the last 10-15 days, he was so much at peace, so much calm, so much detached. And, you know, if anybody would be doing anything, saying anything, he would never react, nothing. And even he, when he passed away, my mom was telling that he passed away so peacefully. They took him to the hospital and he had whatever and he died. So even people who are not truly spiritual, for them death is very painless. I've seen it across the board. For spiritual people it's painless, for non-spiritual it's painless too. Anything beyond life, death and beyond, there's no hell. There's really no hell. Hell is here in life.
The moment soul leaves the body, is that painful time at that time?
That's what I'm saying, it's not.
It's not.
You see the faces of people, maybe you have seen in your family members somebody who's left the body, their face is so peaceful. Yes or no? Even if they're gasping for breath, like this, across the board. At least that's my observation, and I'm sure everyone. So they're going to die peacefully. We're going to die peacefully. So where's the fear? Alright, everybody okay now? No fear of your own death. No fear of what will happen in the afterlife. What will happen in my future. And we have to prepare for it. That's how we have to prepare. And so fear life rather than death. And so we've talked about all of these 4 fears. And I'll end with, I don't know why this keeps going in and out. So you look at this quote by Mahatma Gandhi. This quote by Mahatma Gandhi: live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. Doesn't that sound paradoxical? But that's true. We live as if we're going to live forever. We keep accumulating things. There's this one person who used to come for meditation, and she said that both her parents died over a few months, and she was trying to get rid of the stuff that they had. And she said it took her 2 years to get rid of the stuff that her parents had accumulated. So we keep, in fact, you look at many different cultures. The Japanese are probably more spiritual than we in the West. But they talk about minimalism. There's this new wave, if you will, that has started where they say not more than 100 belongings. 100 belongings would mean even the spoon. One spoon, that will be one item. One sock will be one item. So if you 2 socks, 3, pant 4, shirt 5, not more than 100 things. The less you have, the less you'll be attached, the freer you'll be, and the easier you'll be. And the thought of it, we keep accumulating more and more with the hope that we'll live forever. But if you prepare every moment, you think this moment, not only this day, is going to be my last day. Live this moment, each moment as if it's the last moment. Wouldn't you live it most meaningfully, most purposefully, most thoughtfully? Yeah, think of it. In this moment is going to be my last moment, and next moment I'm going to go. Would I waste my energy in negative or wasteful things, or gossip, or what my neighbor is doing, or what somebody else is doing? I think about that. And we do that because we forget that we could die tomorrow or die the next moment. The ancient mystics never. The enlightened souls never. They are always, she is one of the main yogis of the organization, and she always had that thought. This moment is going to be my last moment. And that's how she grew to the level where she grew. She was such a young person, and how she became like the mother for everyone around her. So here I'm going to end with this. This is very important, that you are able to practice this outer body experience. Practice death. Do you want to practice to die? How to die? Who wants to practice that? Others are scared?
Yeah.
You won't die, I promise you right now. Another very beautiful understanding from spiritual point of view is like the soul and the body, the analogy of as if you're wearing your clothes. The body is like a pair of clothes for the body. If the clothes are very tight, it takes much more effort to get rid of your clothes, come out of your clothes. But if you keep trying, if you keep taking them off and putting them on, those tight clothes, what happens? They begin to stretch, and it gets easier and easier for you to take them off and put them on. Similarly, if the body and the soul are too attached, the soul is too attached to the body, if we are able to do this outer body experience, like leaving this body again and again, going back in, it actually becomes easier for the soul to leave the body. And I want to give you a very practical example is we see in the ICU many times. You will see patients with chronic illnesses, and they will have a tube in their mouth, throat, that's a breathing tube, and they will be lingering, just lingering, for months together sometimes. And their kidneys have shut down, so we are giving them external, dialysis. Their hearts are shutting down, so we have them on those machines. Their lungs have shut down, so that's another machine that's running. Everything pretty much has shut down, but still they're alive. And you clearly can feel, if you understand it from the spiritual point of view, is a soul that is so stuck with the body, too attached to the body. That's where the pain is. So if we don't want that pain, when it is time for the soul to leave the body, the soul will leave right away without having to go through all this pain. And for that we have to do this practice of going out of the body, leaving the body, going back into the body. Has anybody ever had a near, like an out of body experience? You've had? Huh? You've had to? Right? She had shared in the past. Not necessarily a near-death experience, that, many times that wouldn't qualify as that from scientific viewpoint, but at least an out-of-body experience. I know for sure that before a big, or when something real tragic, if you will, is happening, people suddenly get dissociated from themselves. And I had that when I had the high-speed motorcycle accident where my helmet broke into two. At that time, just before the crash, it was almost as if, I don't know how to explain, but it was almost as if I was pulled out of my body for a moment, and the crash happened. There was no pain, but when I realized I'm alive, and then, the pain started, of course, but it was, I don't know how to explain. It was as if I could see myself crashing. It was like this body and the soul were separate, and it's almost, that's exactly what I feel. And that's what these ancient mystics talk about, is that the soul leaves the body even before it leaves the body, if you will. So the last moments are definitely not painful. The soul has dissociated itself from the body even before it leaves the body. Make sense? Just like sleep, the soul gets dissociated from the body before death, even before death, depending on, multiple factors. There will be a time duration when the soul dissociates from the body. So therefore, there won't be any pain. Alright? So Karisha, would you be kind enough to take us through this out-of-body experience? You want to? Mm-hmm. Alright. I hope this microphone works properly. If you want a quick break for a moment, and then we can do meditation experience. But before that also, maybe we can take a moment or two to share experiences or share your new insights that you gained, or something, if there was an aha moment, or if you have any question.
I have a question.
Sure.
I've heard and I have read somewhere that we all experience out-of-body experience during our sleep. Because as sometimes what has happened, when you're sleeping, all of a sudden your body jerks.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like you're falling down the bed.
Yeah.
We all feel that.
Yeah.
The thing that I read is when we sleep during our deep sleep, the soul leaves and goes in the astral world.
Sure.
And when it comes back before you are awake, and when it enters the body, it sometimes gives you a jerk.
Sure.
So that
Yeah.
is a out-of-body experience. is
It
what-
definitely, that's what I said. So it is very close to death. Sleep
It's
is
like
very close to death.
We all experience
We all
that.
experience it. Some of us are not consciously aware. Maybe from today onwards, now that you've listened to this, you will begin to be consciously aware of this. We all experience that. And that's why what happens is, when we wake up, many times we have an aha moment. And say, for example, there was a problem at work that you were not able to solve, a mathematical problem, if you will. And then you go to sleep, you wake up, and boom, you have an answer. Because you kind of left your body, and your consciousness expands as you leave your body. So sleep allows that. But the good news is, that you can have that expanding consciousness even without going through death, even without going through sleep. And one of the things like this Anita Murjani was talking about was when she came back, her entire cancer was totally cured. She was totally, totally healed. So we can experience complete healing. We can experience tremendous intelligence. We can experience answers to all problems which ever existed without having to go through all this. By simply taking us through this outer body experience. Almost as if you are going through a death experience. You won't die, I assure you today, right now. But you can, without the fear. I do that on a regular basis. Kanishka does that on a regular basis. We do that honestly. And every time we do that, we come back. And it's just so much of wisdom that comes in. So much of renewed energy that comes in. Just 3, 4, 5 minutes of that experience. And not just a simple outer body experience, but truly as if feeling that you have died, you have now entered into what people talk about as astral world or whatever, and this expansile energy and consciousness around you, and God there, and God's love flowing through you, and unconditional acceptance, and all these things you can experience, come back, and it's a new you right away. Anything else?
I've always felt, or as an adult, I would rather be awake, not asleep. People want to die in their sleep.
Very good.
And I don't want to miss it. Somehow, I think it's a big part of life. It's like my next stage. I want to be there. And
Beautiful.
sometimes when I'm dreaming, I could be dreaming I'm washing thousands of dishes or some horrible thing. I don't
Yeah.
want to then transition to what could be a beautiful from
Yes.
weird dreams.
Beautiful.
I want to be there. I
Very
don't want to be.
good.
I don't want to. The trauma. I'm not talking about the trauma that might occur.
But now we know there won't be any trauma.
Right.
Yes.
Your soul can leave away from the trauma. So
Yeah.
I don't want to miss it.
So beautiful. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at. Why do we want to go to bed and not wake up, and we don't even, then we will miss it. And I liked what you had said earlier, and that's what I want to expand on for a moment, is many times we feel that it should happen, boom. But where will you get the time to prepare? Yes, you can prepare from now onwards. Today is the day that you can start your preparation. But the final preparation, you need time for that too. So if you have, like people think, oh no, I shouldn't have some chronic illness and die like that. But that could be another opportunity for you to really understand what life and death is. So it's okay. It's so beautiful. You see, right away, I'm so glad all these conversations are happening, because it's changing people's minds, right? Changing our understanding, changing what we look forward to and what we want in our lives. Our desires are changing right away. So thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you.
You want to say something to conclude before I do the meditation?
I would just like to thank you for a very interesting, thank you. I'd like to thank you for a very interesting talk again.
I feel that if I'm able to change somebody's fear of death, I think I feel accomplished, that's all. I feel good. That if I am able to help you process your fear of death. And did I do it? From now onwards, nobody will be afraid of death. Ever. You'll really look forward to death for sure. Hey, when is it going to happen? Why not? Excited about death. What's going to happen? How am I going to go? How's the body going to function? How's the soul going to leave? So beautiful. Raj. Yes. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. Will you join me in thanking?
Thank you. All right. So shall we meditate? Okay, bye. It was a pleasure seeing you. Yeah. All right. So shall we, Kanisha? Can we have the music, please? And I think the music is in this. I'm going to switch this off. Were you able to increase the volume of this? Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's good enough. Shall we dim the light? It will help in creating that experience. So first of all, relax. Everything will be okay. You have nothing to fear. Remind yourself that you are a soul. A soul that is indestructible, that is eternal. Allow this eternality of your existence become alive for you, become real for you. You can never die. You are truly eternal because you are energy, and energy can never be destroyed. You are merely an energy that makes this body talk, walk, and do other things. This body would be dead without you in it. When you dissociate yourself from the body for a few hours, the body goes to sleep. When you leave this body and go to another, this body dies. You never die. And just as you are a soul, everyone around you, your loved ones, your family members, your friends, even your dogs and cats, they are souls too. They won't die either. See a point of light sparkling in front of you. Feel as if everything in this physical world has disappeared. And what you see around you is this vast, limitless space. Space that's filled with light. You, an infinitesimally small point of light in this vast ocean of light. Now see you, this point of light, expanding. Your consciousness is is beginning to expand. Further and further. You can see your consciousness becoming unlimited. You can see your body which is limited, and your consciousness which is unlimited. Now in the next moment, feel as if you, with unlimited consciousness, enter into your body. As you do so, your consciousness becomes limited. You are limited by the confines of your body. You cannot think or do anything that's bigger than your body. Now feel as if you, the soul, are leaving your body, and immediately that limited consciousness once again becoming unlimited, expanding beyond any limits. Now again, see yourself entering the body, the consciousness again becoming limited. Again, you being stuck in you and yours. The selfishness of your physical existence. And then as you leave this body, you're able to experience unlimited consciousness once again. And in this space, this unlimited healing, unlimited wisdom, unlimited love, unlimited peace. In this dimension, there is God. In this dimension, you're able to experience a living relationship with God. You feel loved and accepted. You truly feel unlimited. The entire universe feels as if it belongs to you. and you feel as if you belong to the entire universe. Om Shanti. Red light. Om Shanti. Kanisha, what do you have? Correct. Do you remember we had those death handouts? We thought that we had many of those. If they're readily available, we can give it to them. We had done this session at Peace Village, and so we had some handouts for people to take with them. Just kind of highlights of today's talk. And I can say about this for a moment if or you want to say something, Debbie, first. Whatever you want to, go ahead. You can say.
Thank you. For anyone who lives near Aiken or has friends that live near Aiken, we have, this is an old one, but we have.
You could come here because you're not visible on the camera.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You could come here. It's okay. Maybe you could come there,
Sure.
and you can take that with you.
Thank you. For anyone who lives near Aiken, Kanisha conducts meditation classes with insights every Thursday from 4 o'clock to 5:30. So we have, we'll put up on the website the times and the dates and what the insight topics are. And do you want to talk about Peace in the Park?
You can do it.
Okay. And our new poster for Peace in the Park is coming up Saturday, September 28th from 10 to 5. And this year it's being held in Aiken's, the Virginia Acres Park, which is right beside Odell Weeks on Whiskey Road. We're in the second pavilion around the corner. So there'll be, it's fun for the whole family. There'll be meditation, henna designs, a peace march, West African drumming, and a live shadow puppet show. And we have an interfaith talk this year on the subject of how could we possibly be connected. So that's at 12 o'clock. So I hope you can join us. And again, we'll put up a poster for this as well up on the website. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie, for sharing all that. We now have a new Instagram account. We're getting a little digital. And so if you want to follow us on that, the Peace in the Park, CSRA, is you can search it, I'm sure, when you go on the Instagram website. And you can also join our Facebook page. Many of you are friends with us. That way you will get information of the new events and whatever else is happening. When we invite the senior, our spiritual resource person, this time is going to be a senior yogi from New York. We always also have a Friday evening event. So here in this room, we will have something. We don't know the topic yet. She hasn't given us that. But we'll look forward to listening to her at that time, and then the Saturday event. The Saturday event, I inspire you, I invite you, now that we have heard that when we live our lives selflessly for others, that's where the true positive karma happens. And that's when we can enjoy life and enjoy death. So that's why we do it. It's so much more comfortable to sit at home and go to bed. It's so much nicer, and instead of going to these, going around trying to serve people. But there's a reason why we do it, and you've now understood that reason as well. So if you would like to participate, I inspire you truly. Participate in doing something bigger than yourself. That's what we've tried to do. This piece in the park was, it's not a joke to put everything together. There are not too many hands. There's a lot of money involved and so on and so forth. We never ever have asked for money, have we? Right? We have never, money pours from wherever, it just comes. We have never asked for help. We always inspire and invite people to join and come. If you feel inspired enough after today's talk especially, please let us know. There are a lot of opportunities to volunteer and help, and some of the activities, you may be knowing people who do this, like face painting and henna. You have been involved in it in the past, and so whoever wants to, whoever can, please let us know. We are happy to include you. We want it to be all inclusive. There are certain things that we have to be mindful of, because we are representing the larger organization that is an international organization with centers across the world. So we have to be mindful of how the processes work from that point of view. And so, but in general, we are open to new suggestions and make it beautiful. Would you like to say something about the past Piece of the Park events that you have? You've been in the last two of them, right? Or even more? Three? If you want to share how they have evolved. And even I would love to have Michelle say something too about you have been to two of them, right? Oh yeah, yeah, take this mic.
Yeah, I'm always inspired by the events, but I think one of the most fun things was to watch the shadow puppet. That was so new to me, and your narration was wonderful. So just to get so many ideas. The interfaith talk had so many views. Just new ways of thinking, and I got a lot of that, so it was wonderful.
It was your script actually.
Well,
yeah.
your narration was
But what could I have narrated if there was not that wonderful script?
So anyway, the music, David, was just inspirational, and there's just lots of fun parts to it, so I encourage you to enjoy it.
Thank you, Michelle. And yeah, take this.